up for a strong future. Whether you want to talk about checking and savings accounts, review lending alternatives, or discuss starting your own business, we have the right people to listen and advise. Visit us at jbd.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's gonna be over. Baby, when I spend more time with you, it's just bringing me closer. Flex up, time to have sex up, making love, you know I won't mess up. Move your body,
Indeed, peace and power, peace and blessings. This is B. Michael here, your host for Shifting Paradigms, and we are live here at KUAW Knowledge, Understanding and Wisdom Radio, 4510 East Linwood Boulevard. It's the Black Family Technology Awareness Association sponsoring this great effort here. Great show tonight lined up with a featured guest by the name of Michelle Hill. Very shortly. But Shifting Paradigms is a show all about stimulating critical thought in order to realistically redefine our narrative and positively reshape our reality through dialogue with self-determination. Today's show is going to be dealing with literary paradigmatics. So we want to go ahead and introduce Michelle Hill. She's going to give a little background about herself and then dedicate the show to a special individual. And then we're going to get right into our conversation. Can you hear? Maybe give us.
Should I lean in a little bit more?
That's good. There you go.
All right, great. Hey, Michelle Hill, Kansas City, Kansas. Went to Washington High School. I graduated from Cheney University of Pennsylvania, the first HBCU. I got to slide that in there. I am a current writer and blogger. I do want to dedicate this show to my father, who has inspired me for so long. And I just wish that I had took this journey into writing sooner while he was here, so he can actually see how I've grown and just the courage that it's taken to put down words onto paper and share my thoughts and connect with people in this way.
No doubt.
He's definitely that type of person, very charismatic. So yeah, I want to dedicate this to him.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Is there a particular statement, quote, that stands out with you that he said that has left a major imprint in your life? Is there anything, maybe 2-3 things you can think of that he said that really inspires you throughout your life?
A lot of things.
Yeah.
My father always told me that I can literally do anything if I keep going.
Okay.
I early on in life I did quit a lot of things just because I was interested in so much.
Right.
And I was good at a lot of things as well, but you just want to jump to so much, okay, what can I do now? But he convinced me that if I could just stick with anything, eventually I'm going to be great at it. It's just the law of averages at this point. Just keep going. You're going to build that momentum to really push through in any avenue, whether I'm struggling or not.
Right.
So
That's
that
awesome.
was definitely one thing I carry with me always.
No doubt. And it's been a lesson that you've just seen tried and true in your life.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Every job, corporate jobs, definitely this current experience going into blogging for this past year and a half. Yeah. Trying out just new things in general, I'm very excited for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what do you recall as your earliest introduction to literature? What stands out for you?
Well, my parents read a lot. We have a lot of books in our home. But also I went to Arrowhead Middle School. And if you went to Arrowhead or know much about Wyandotte County, there is a library that sits literally pretty much in the same parking lot. So every day after school, me and my siblings are there until we get picked up by our parents, or after practice, basketball or volleyball practice, I'm there as well. So kind of just lived in the library for a long time. And the one thing that stands out with my parents is that they never really gave us parameters when it came to the type of literature that we wanted to go into or our interests. They just wanted us to explore and really find those interests for ourselves. So that's one thing that stood out, and that's my earliest memory of really connecting with literature. Yeah.
So what was the first book that spoke to you?
Ooh.
Or one of the first books that really spoke to you and opened you up, man, maybe I want to write?
I actually was just a very avid reader for a long time, and a Baldwin quote stands out to me. He says that you don't become a writer, you just find out you are one.
Right, I agree.
And this past couple of years, I definitely found that out. I enjoyed reading so much that at some point you just have to spill out. Something has to come out of you. When you experience so much as well, traveling or, just experiencing new people, meeting new people, you can't hold all that in. Like, it's gonna come out one way or another. And writing, of course, is the healthiest way to do that. I wrote poetry for a long time at a young age, but I wouldn't share it. It was just my personal diary. I wanted just to get those feelings out. But it wasn't really a story that I had at the time. I didn't have enough words, I would say.
I see.
But over time, this past couple of years, it called to me.
Okay.
It really, really called to me, and I finally answered after being scared.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope you're prepared to do some poetry a little later too.
No,
you ain't got none. Okay. We can get you to read something. We'll get you to read something.
You gonna put me on the spot like that?
It happens sometimes. It happens.
I did bring your book though. So
that's.
I wanted to make sure I got that signed while I was here.
Okay, I'll get that.
Yeah.
No doubt. Because writing is a big part of my life as well. I started writing in like '97. Going through a lot of life issues. I was in college, like a self-discovery.
Yeah.
And so that really translated to me finding my solace in pen and pad, because the things I was going through at that time, a lot of my college teammates was like, we're not ready for that right now. It was a lot of spiritual changes I was going through, and they were like, we're about to kick it. I'm like, I get it, but I was just on a different path at that time.
Yeah. And
I was going through some love woes or puppy love woes, and I started writing poetry, baby, come back to me, baby, so you know how that goes, right? And I just found a voice.
Write a little bit of that as well, but I didn't share it with anybody. Again, it's just kind of tucked away, but I get that.
That's real. Yeah, that's real. And so, as you go through high school, were you involved in any type of writing clubs or anything? Was there any type of development that you were seeing taking place in high school before you get to college?
My high school English teachers definitely nurtured me, definitely saw something in me. My journalism teacher as well. I was a part of the yearbook committee at that time, and the graduating class that I was in 2007 was the first class that had a digital yearbook. So it was on DVD, and it was a big change for the school. A lot of the students were uncomfortable with it at the time, honestly. But looking back on it, it's 13 years ago at this point. It's actually where we are now. Like, we're in a more digital age, and we're past DVDs almost at this point. So things are moving really, really fast. Definitely. But yeah, that definitely kind of sparked my interest. But getting to college, going to a Black college, definitely turned a lot more, generated a lot more interest when it came to writing, because I was able to connect with the literature a little bit more in different ways.
That's major.
Yeah.
That's major.
Definitely.
That's major. So, college are you now starting to like find your voice more? You're starting to see a path that is becoming more clear for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think it's too because I think I'm taking more control of it and not kind of just letting myself. I'm more of a free spirit, I would say, but there comes a times where you really got to take the reins on your life as well. Definitely. And I think I'm ready for that. I was kind of just floating here and there, but I'm ready to kind of dive in and really hone in on my skills and connect with people in different ways, but highlighting these Black artists on my blog. It's really my passion at this point.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I know we talked a while ago, and you talk about this internship that you had at Schomburg Museum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, what was that experience like?
That, I think, was the most life-changing experience that I've had. It opened my eyes to a lot of different things. You spoke about your spiritual changes that you went through in college, and that was my awakening at that point as well. I think there was about 12 of us total that were in that fellowship program that summer.
Okay. Can I interrupt you 1 second?
Yeah.
For those who may not know what Schomburg is, can you maybe just give a brief overview of that first?
The Schomburg Center, it is a repository for Black culture and research. It houses so much information about artists across the country when it comes to just us, Black people, and showing us in a beautiful light, but just having those resources and in dates back centuries that we could see all these materials and historic pieces. In the floor, they have like Langston Hughes's ashes walking into the foyer, and it is just a magnificent place to be. Very amazing energy from everybody there.
It's in Harlem?
It is in Harlem. Yes. I still have my I still have my bookmark from there. I still have a couple other things from there. The people I met in that cohort are still really dear to my heart because they're during some really tough times for me. Yeah. It was an experience for sure. Everybody had to go over a specific topic and kind of research a specific topic and had to present on it at the end of the program. And I will be very honest that I did the worst. I actually bit off more than I could chew. I decided to do a project on religion and Christianity, kind of tracing back, that identity, where it's coming from and how it kind of transpired through slavery. And I wanted to I was looking for something for myself. And it was really hard because I ran into a lot of things where I was questioning my own religion. And so it was really hard for me to focus and put much into that project. So it actually wasn't my proudest moment as far as presenting, but I learned a lot because it was something I needed to face head on. And if, I'm not judging Christianity or any type of religion, but whatever your religion is, you have to question it at some point in order to trust it. And I did that at that time, and it was very hard looking at myself. So I was going through a really difficult transformation at that time, and still trying to digest everything that was coming at me. But the whole experience was amazing. That's and awesome. I still relive it to this day in my head.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. You all are listening to Shifting Paradigms here on KUAW. If you have a question or you want to call in and make a statement as well, 816-599. You're like, ooh, 6893. I mean, it is just the radio show how we do it, but it's just engagement, and that's something that we just need to do and have conversations about these things, especially literature. What is when you think, because you asked me this question, and I think I'm gonna put it back on you. What is the word to you in terms of the written word, the spoken word? What does that all mean to you? In light of your experiences at the Schomburg, we can get into that some more too, but I want to just kind of bring this to the forefront.
For me, it holds so much weight. I was talking about this with one of my friends in San Antonio. Because I talk about time travel a lot and the different forms of it, and I think of writing books as a form of time travel, because I'm leaving that contextual piece here in the time that I'm writing it. And once it's written, it's in that period. I can't move it forward. I can't take it back either, but I'm leaving a piece of myself there. So once I'm gone, my words still remain. And people are hopefully still tied to that, are still feeling that from it at that time.
Definitely. That's powerful. So you mentioned too at Schomburg that you noticed in your research that there was not a significant presence of Midwestern African American literature present.
Yes.
Wow.
I did.
In fact, there is, but it just wasn't placed on the forefront in that particular museum. Can you elaborate on that some and what you found?
So even though the Schomburg is an amazing, amazing, amazing place, I just was so excited when I got there because I wanted to see us. I wanted to see Black people from the Midwest. And I'm like, what's here? What can I look at that's a reflection of me? And I didn't find much. Not as much as there is, of course, of Harlem, of the East Coast, but we mostly see stories about people traveling through. but not really the stories of people that are here or that have transitioned here, that have lived a large portion of their time in Kansas City or in the Midwest in general.
Right.
So it wasn't that it was a negative representation. It just wasn't enough for my liking.
I get it.
And, I spent years just kind of not griping about it, but just being frustrated with it. And I finally figured out that I'm the one that's supposed to fix this.
Wow.
I put that weight on myself, of course, but I can't keep talking about something that's missing if I have the tools to fix it and not actually doing anything about it. So at this point, I'm, still making it worse, or it's still in the same place. So I wanted to, throw my hat in the ring and see what I can do to allow the rest of the world to see us. And of course, to see the best of us too.
Right.
Yeah.
So what type of excavations have you found? Any excavations that are like things that have already been left by writers that we've had in this area? Are there any individuals that you can recall to mind that really stand out historically in the Midwestern area?
Nothing that is striking to me. Not as big as your Langstons or County Cullens or anything like that.
Well, Langston being from Lawrence, so,
I mean, yeah, close, but but a lot of his life is not reflected here,
right?
And that's what I wanted to see too. It's like I got there and it's just like a little snippet, but what about the context? Like, how did he grow up? That's just as important as well, because that contributed to that literature that he provided us.
Harlem, definitely.
Yeah, but
That's
I mean, but it drew me out to the East Coast, so that's how I ended up at Cheney in the first place, and how I ended up at the Schomburg in the first place is because it drew me out there. But I think again that's a reason I went out there, because I needed to see that we weren't out there, and I needed to fill that gap. And I think I'm working on it. I think I'm making some big strides in this past year for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How has writing itself changed your life? Like, what has it done for you? Because I think a lot of people just think writing is just laborious or something they don't want to do, especially if they're not in school. But how has it affected you?
God, I went these past maybe 6 or 7 years without writing a lot. Because I went towards corporate America. I felt like I needed to get a big girl job after college. But I missed it a whole lot. And you don't think about how many times you're actually using it. Even writing lists every day for myself just to kind of keep myself in order helped, just to keep my hand steady.
Right.
But then getting back into writing, I just fell back in love with it all over again. Like, in love with my handwriting, just seeing it. And once you start doing it more, you want to do it more as well. And you notice different feelings are coming out every single time that you're doing it. You're discovering a part of yourself as well. And that's the unique thing about it, is I'm starting to see myself in a whole different light as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
It is.
So what was your major in college?
English.
So you were an English major?
I was an English major.
Okay.
Yeah. Cheney is a very prestigious college that I love very, very much. And I chose it because it had basically the same student body as my high school. So class-wise, it was very intimate, and that's exactly what I wanted. As far as my English classes, maybe 10 at the max students in there. So, it was a very direct back and forth conversation with just
intimate.
Very, very intimate. And being able to dig into Black literature solely was a big thing for me as well. Because you didn't get that in high school, or at least I didn't get that in high school. Again, I was nurtured in the love of just reading and writing, but just to see an actual reflection of myself in the literature itself, I didn't get until I got to college, and that definitely changed the dynamic of things. Yeah.
So as a English major, were you intending on coming out and going into the classroom, or was there something else you wanted to do with it? No, I did not want to go to the classroom originally. And I got the question a lot, telling people my major is English. And it's like, okay, you want to be a teacher? And of course, Cheney is also a teaching college. Okay. So I went to a teaching college. I got a degree in English. And I was still like, no, I don't want to be a teacher. Right.
I want to travel. I want to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And I chose English because I loved reading.
Mhm.
I love reading. I love discussing literature. It wasn't until a few years after college when I got into more writing itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So that's a development. Definitely. That's awesome.
yeah, I did not go
That's
into
awesome.
teaching. I worked at a restaurant for 9 years. I worked at
Okay.
Famous Dave's, a barbecue restaurant, for 9 years. So
Okay.
they got me through college a few years after.
Yeah.
I honestly would probably still be there if they offered health benefits. I enjoyed the face-to-face interaction
No
with
doubt.
people,
Yeah.
and it helped me a lot.
Mhm.
I actually hated public speaking,
Wow.
and having to introduce yourself 30 times a night kind of helps with that. So, and then, obviously rotating and connecting with different people
Right.
throughout each day,
Right.
and building those relationships is a
Mhm.
whole different dynamic as well. But it taught me a lot about myself, just being presentable and gaining confidence to speak, in general.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. And so, you go into the corporate world, right? So how did that shape you into where you are now in terms of that transitional process? And we're going to get into the present, but leading
good.
up to that, how did you experience and internalize the corporate experience, and how did that push you into where you are currently?
It definitely pushed me. I worked for 5 years at a corporate environment, and for 3.5 of those years, I did training. So again, I did not want to be a teacher. However, I still ended up in that space, and I found out that I loved it. I found out that I had a stronger voice than I knew I did, and people trusted me, and I wanted to hold on to that and continue to be a reflection of someone that is going after their goals, that is staying true to themselves. And I knew I was doing that in my current role. However, it just was not the what's the word I'm looking for? It just wasn't the space for the type of topics I wanted to cover. I was handling money, which it's great. I guess we need it every now and then. It keeps the world turning. But there's just so many facets to the art world that are contributing to our lives that kind of go over our heads sometimes, or we take for granted, that are there right in front of our faces. And I wanted to switch gears and just really dig into that. And I had to kind of cut it off abruptly by quitting my job instead of steadily kind of easing my way out. But it was something that I needed to do for myself for sure, because I knew that if I just kept waiting, I would still be there. I wouldn't have taken that leap.
So did you have the plan already established when you quit, or did you kind of quit and transition into it? I mean, just honest, because
I'm
that's
still working
real,
on
though.
that free spirit kind of thing.
No doubt.
But I
real,
did
though.
have a plan in place.
Yes.
Of course, things don't always go as planned. But I did have something in place before just nipping the bud completely.
Right.
But I knew enough of myself was already in that space that I needed to move out, basically.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So tell us how you conceptualize the Black.
It focuses on Black art, specifically in the Kansas City metropolitan community.
Wow.
Originally, I wanted to open a bookstore, and I wanted to name it the Black Sunflower. Of course, I'm from Kansas, so I'm a sunflower girl. That is our state flower.
Right.
But typically, when you think of Kansas, you don't think of Black people. And I wanted to focus on the Black sunflower because, one, it is a real flower, just like we are. We're real people out here with real experiences and love and light that should be shared with everyone, and not just at particular times. And we shouldn't just be sharing the horror stories or the violence that happens everywhere, but somehow that is the majority of the information that's getting out. And I wanted to provide more of the positivity out there. There is a lot. We just got to find a way to push it out there more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what was the first introduction of the Black Sunflower? Like what was the voice that came out when you first launched your blog? Like what really stamps you?
Good.
In
That's a great question. my first series on the Black Sunflower, I focused on artists that influenced me, that weren't from Kansas City. So I wanted to just be kind of focus on myself for just a little bit to understand how I wanted the writing to kind of go hand in hand.
We got your nephew in there. I got Steven Babies Jr.
Hey.
Go auntie. That's what's up.
What's up, Steve? Get some shout outs.
No doubt.
That's
Got a
what's
couple of them.
Oh,
Valdez, you're a great teacher. Okay,
that is so
awesome.
sweet. Thank you, Donna. Oh, I'm so surprised all these people are watching.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
No
Hey,
doubt.
guys. Hey, Janae.
Thank you.
That
all
is
for tuning in,
awesome.
no doubt.
That is awesome.
Beautiful. See, look at that.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I mean, and everybody that has commented that I'm saying has been just so supportive. And I know my friends have looked at me side-eyed like, so you just gonna quit your job? You just gonna leap out there like that? But everybody has just been so encouraging.
That's
It's almost hard to even stop because not that all these people are riding on it or anything like that, but I just feel so much motivation and encouragement from my tribe, from my group of people. My friends and my family have been nothing but supportive and in my corner. And of course, most of them are from Kansas City, and they want to see us doing well also. They're also working on their own projects, so everybody's just wanted to lift everybody else up, and I'm happy to say that I have that group in my corner at all times.
That's awesome, man. Thank you all again for tuning in and supporting. That is awesome.
It is.
And so as you were talking about the artists that have inspired you, which one comes to mind, and what is it about that particular artist that has struck you? I know you mentioned Baldwin, but I'm gonna still leave it open for you.
So are we talking about like the first series, or are we just talking about just general artists? Because that's a broad
it's a broad question. So let's go back to the series that you touched upon. We'll just make it a little more targeted.
So the first series were mostly album reviews. Music will always be my first love, and I consider it in its own separate category when it comes to art. But like just in general, it's just it's so big and it can transcend time, space. That is my favorite form of time travel.
Wow.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And so it just focuses on albums that came out last year during like really monumental times. My birthday weekend last year, my 30th birthday, big number. Solange had dropped a new album then. Very, very good album. I still listen to it like it just came out yesterday, of course. Okay. But I felt something. There was a huge shift that weekend. And I had to write about it.
Wow.
I had to, and I knew and I had no idea other people were actually going to read it, but you just knew that there was a reason to write it.
It spoke to you.
It spoke to me, so I felt like I needed to respond in some way. And then of course Beyonce drops Homecoming on Netflix, and it was the Beyonce concert that I was never going to go to. I knew I could never afford Beyonce tickets that I would like to have. I would like to have front row seats. I know I'm not going to have that. But that her Homecoming documentary on Netflix actually just really highlighted a lot of things that I loved about my college experience, going to an HBCU. Hey, so you got some HBCU friends there. What's up? Nice. I was actually in the band in college.
What'd you play?
I played the saxophone.
Wow.
Alto? I was not good, but I was in there.
Okay. It's all good. It's the experience. It's always the experience.
Yes.
No question.
Had a great teacher. The director was just so adamant just about bringing more people into that space and learning new instruments. And I was under the impression that I was too old. And he was like, "You're never too old to learn something new." But
so that was your first experience
with a saxophone? Yeah,
really in college.
Was in college. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
That's brave. That's awesome.
It was so much fun though, just to be in that crowd with the rest of the band. You really feel like it's a family. You know, you move as just one big unit, but everybody knows what they're doing, and everybody's kind of helping each other. You know, even at those times where I'm just kind of coming in there.
right.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah. I met a lot of really, really great people during that experience. But yeah, that Beyonce documentary kind of brought me back to that point, which again made me want to write about that experience as well.
So let me ask though, what was it about the Solange experience and the Beyonce experience that drew out of you those words? Like what was it? For
Solange, there's one song, I think it's I'm a Witness, which I think it might be a little short too, and it kind of hit me differently almost a year later after I started writing too. We are here to be witnesses for each other, to witness each other's growth and their progress, whether we document it or not, but you being a witness is part of that documentation. So me writing, I felt like that's part of my job is I'm witnessing your greatness, and I want to make sure I'm documenting it happening now. Right. And then you have a reference point now. Right. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and take a brief intermission, just real quick. Do some station identification and some things of that nature. Cool. And we will come back shortly, and we will conclude this next half hour with Michelle Hill, the Black Sunflower.
Thank you.
Just tune in. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Scatter. You might remember me from way back in the Zodiac days. Be sure and check us out. We're going to be here every day from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. It's old school with Scatter. Scatter's back. Check me out on the internet. KUAW.org. For all you for sale Central Manulife people, I want you to remember that in the 60s and the 70s, we had some good music. If you want to hear some of the Temptations, some of Smokey Robinson, some of the Tim Breeze, things that you don't get every day, DJ Scatter, remember, he's going to have it for you.
Getting money now, baby girl, you don't say. She got that KUAW. She got that okay. She wanna roll it like the sunset. She got that I can't stay put in one place. She got that I don't need a man for nothing. She got that walk like she do it on the runway. See shawty bossy, but like it when I'm bossy. And if I have one more drink with you, it's gonna be over. Baby, when I spend more time with you, it's just bringing me closer. Flex up, time to have sex up, making love, you know I won't mess up. Move your body, gon' make you sweat. Let me bless you, keep them legs up. Time to have sex up, making love, you know I won't mess up. Move your body, gon' make you sweat. Let me bless you, keep them legs you up so I can lay you down. Ain't got no time to waste, girl, I ain't playing around. I wanna play with your body, night is a cloud, yeah, I'd be suicidal, but I'm finna drown, yeah. In you, girl, for you, girl, no need to worry, cause I know what to do, girl. I don't really wanna have a new girl, all I want is you, girl. But if I have one more drink with you, it's gonna be over. Baby, when I spend more time with you, it's just bringing me closer.
Tycon Company, LLC, specializes in a wide range of construction services.
Boom, and we are back here with Shifting Paradigms. We got our feature with Literary Paradigmatics, Michelle Hill, the Black Sunflower. And we were just talking about her project or her blog. So what got you into blogging? Just
my project, actually.
Okay.
At the time, I was just looking to really get into writing more and get my voice out there. And I did not have a lot of experience under my belt in order to kind of apply for other writing jobs or pitch to other magazines or anything like that. I didn't really have a full grasp of my own story yet, which that first series on my Black Sunflower was kind of me building my brand for myself before I can pour more into the blog itself. So yeah.
Okay. So you've monetized it and everything, and
yeah, it's doing what it's supposed to do.
No doubt, no doubt. That's awesome.
It's doing what it's supposed to do. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I'm asking that because, you know, anybody who may be aspiring to go into that particular field, and you hear people who like rake in all types of money from blogging, you know. Right. But the reality of it is it's going to take work. You know, it's laborious. You got to build your followership up. Yes. You know, what have you found to be some successful strategies to make your blog more prominent and marketable?
I would say definitely understanding myself and understanding what I am looking to put out there. I wanted to write in a way that you look at writers as artists as well. I mean, we talked about this, how you know, people think it's art is more visual. And writing is still very visual. It's just that you have to imagine it yourself. So it's a little bit different. It's better in that way because you're almost always getting what you want. That's what I like about writing. But I wanted to come out with my blog and come out in segments and have it in series form. So that way there's a direct link with every artist there, you know, it's tying together. I didn't want it to be sporadic articles that are just kind of covering whatnots. I really wanted to put a face to it so you understand the entire package when I do deliver something.
I see. I see. And so have you completed your hair?
I noticed that every summer I am either traveling a lot, but I usually just throw some braids in my hair. And by throw, I mean, you know, 12 hours later. But I was looking back at pictures, I think one day, and I was looking at beach pictures and summer photos of myself, and I'm like, I don't have a lot just of my natural hair. And I just wanted it. And so I just made a promise to myself that I was going to take more photos of my hair this summer. And of course, the pandemic happened. So it was a challenge, actually, to get out. And at the time, I was in St. Louis, and it was raining a lot during the time that I actually needed to get out and actually try to take photos of myself. And that was the other thing, too, is I'm taking photos of myself, too. So it's just me, and it's raining. My hair is shrinking at the same time. But I got the pictures that I wanted. Okay. I did.
What kinds of responses have you gotten from that series?
Really, really great responses. I know a couple of my friends actually joined in here and there too, documenting some of their hair journeys as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. No doubt. Just encouragement of people just getting outside too, during the pandemic and over the summer where we were just locked down. You know, things are a little less restricted now in the city, but when things were completely locked down, how are we still getting that nourishment? And for me, it really opened my eyes to how much we need it. Once we didn't have it, I felt sadder. Like I'm just sitting in the house and it's like nothing's wrong, but I just feel down. I feel low. And as soon as you walk outside, it's complete 180, just out there for 10 minutes. And it's different. It's
cabin
different.
fever is real though.
Yeah.
You know, you get cooped up in the house. It's I need to do something.
You're right.
Yeah, that's real.
That's
real. So talk to us about your current project. You know, you called. Well, actually, I reached out to you because I got informed about the project that you have. That you're going undertaking right now.
Now, did somebody inform you about the project?
I was informed about it.
Oh, okay.
So I found out about it through a good friend of mine, and then I filled out the information. You know, it was like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen. And then you reached out, and boom. So I'm like, this is cool. So talk to us about this. What's the name of the project, and then what is the intent of it?
So my current project for the blog is called the Wildflower Project. it focuses solely on Black writers in the Kansas metropolitan area, Kansas City metropolitan area. It is unlike the previous series that I've done, the 2 Kansas City series, because those were a variety of artists. Okay. So the last series I had photographers, a one-woman stunt show. She's definitely one of my favorites.
Stunt show.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I mean, fire breathing, like the works. Shout out to Martika.
Okay. Okay.
Painters. So, you know, it was more of a variety of artists. Okay. But when the pandemic happened, it opened up a lot of time for me to think and a lot of time for me to write. And I knew that that's what's happening as well for other writers. Okay. And it just felt like a big shift. And the people that are going to translate the shift that we're going through, the best, I think, is going to be Black writers here. So I wanted to reach out and really get those voices, because it can't just be mine at the end of the day. I wanted a really well-rounded idea. Yeah.
So what have you taken away from this experience? Like what kind of insights, what kind of, inspiration have you received from this?
I received that I am not alone. And a lot of writers will say, like, just writing itself is a very lonely act, and it is, because you have to focus.
Gotta get some solitude.
Yeah, you gotta get some stuff done. Hey, turn that music down. But just knowing that there was other people out there that are kind of going through similar things when it comes to the creation process. Right. And one thing I did learn about writers as well is Midwestern writers travel. They like to travel, which is why they're such good storytellers, because they go out and they grab those experiences for you and then they bring them back. And we're kind of in and out, and so for me, it's kind of hard to stay planted somewhere, and that's why I call it the wildflowers, because we kind of grow in any atmosphere. Right. We are adaptable, but we stay true to who we are. Right. You know, you ask us where we're from, it's gonna be KC all day. Right. But we like to go and find those things and translate it and bring it back and find a way to provide those tools back to our community here. That's the biggest thing I definitely have pulled from it.
That's awesome. And I'm excited to just how many to be a part of it. But how many artists have you released in this project so far?
So far I've released 2 articles. We are on week 3. We have a special feature this week. You may know him. It is yourself. I'm really excited to dig into more poetry. Most of the artists that are featured are poets, but it's something that I actually needed to get back into. I actually started writing a little bit. Awesome. I'm not sharing any, but I did, start to try my hand again. Because poetry did come to me early on, but it was only during really tough times that I was using it. So and
reflective and therapeutic.
Yeah. Personal. Really personal. And the last time I was writing poetry was when my father passed away 6 years ago. And I was looking at it, it's just really, it's hard. It's hard to read. It's hard to share with other people. I'm still glad that it's there. Right. Again, just documenting that where I was, that time travel. It takes me right back to that place. Wow. But I wanted to get to a point where, I'm writing from a more free form and just from places of happiness as well, which I have been doing with the blog also, but reading a lot of the poetry that I'm going through now with the series has encouraged me a lot and inspired me so much to get back into it.
That's awesome. So what kind of future projects do you have that you want to get into? I mean, it may be top secret, but just any like what can we expect from the Black Sunflower?
So not top secret, but I am actually in the works of putting together a large book drive for one. I understand that libraries are kind of open here and there, But they're restrictive now a little bit. You know, you really can't sit in and enjoy the books. And at the end of the day, you have to return them.
Right.
That's always the sad part for me, is having to return them. So, you know, early on, I was able to sit in the library for hours, but now we don't have that luxury.
No.
So I think the greatest gift I can give is to be able to gift actual books to high school students. And I'm hoping to donate at least the senior class of Washington High School, my old high school, or if I can have enough momentum and enough donations that I can give back to the entire student body of Washington as well would be great.
Powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. What issues that are going on right now, just current event wise, like do you feel you may be called to write about or to respond to? Is there anything on the landscape, you know, geopolitically, culturally, socially, that stands out to you that, you know, or do you feel that we as a people should be speaking about more? Like what voices, what topics do you think our voice should be more responsive to?
That's a really great question. It's always hard, especially now, to choose because there's so much happening, or we have access to all this information now, and so now you want to do something, but there's so much you almost feel paralyzed by it. I think for me, my focus has been kind of back on education right now. I'm hoping to, after this series wraps up, I want to start digging into maybe some teacher interviews. Those are still artists, as we know. You have to be an artist to be a teacher. You have to be very creative to be a teacher.
Very much so.
And I've had so many teachers throughout my life that have, you know, planted so many seeds into me.
That's
and
rich.
I would be thankful to be able to give that back in some way. So
Definitely.
my next series will focus on teachers in some way.
I mean, they're so unheralded. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just like, you know.
Yeah. You know, and I'm not a parent yet, you know, and so I can't say I understand that full struggle of, you know, what the virtual learning is happening. But I have done some form of teaching, so I know what the other side of that looks like.
Right.
But I want to be supportive in any way I can. And of course, I want to hopefully offer like either some writing sessions as well for high school students, just some extracurricular activity for them to be engaged in. Again, since a lot of programs are closed or, you know, not able to, they're not able to participate in a lot. But education, I think, is where my focus is lying as far as me vocalizing how I'm feeling about certain events. Only because and everything is big, but it is focusing on our minds. And I think that it's just it's tender, and we really need to figure out what we're doing and solidify that, because they are the future. Yeah, we can fix something right now about the other stuff, but these people still need these seeds in order to continue on to whatever we're doing. And I'm not saying it's the most important thing, but I feel like
it's up close there. It definitely is.
I feel like that's where I'm able to help the most. As far as vocalizing it or helping to identify some of the gaps, I'm hoping to do that.
Right. No, I mean, I think education is a priority.
Absolutely.
I don't even think it is a priority, because without it, I mean, the results are disastrous. You know, and we can see the results of ignorance in our communities, unfortunately, you know. And so how do we get back to a place where we can focus on education and convey the importance of it? Yeah. Particularly to the youth, you know. So that's
and I think that's going to be hard in a virtual world. It's doable, but it's going to be hard for them to feel the same connection to education, I think, through a virtual environment. But we are growing so quickly as a society that I have no doubt that we'll have a quick fix, you know, but I just want to make sure that we are putting enough time and thought into the
impact going to be in that quick fix,
want to make sure we're putting the thought into the impact. Absolutely.
Yeah, you said something early on about your childhood. You remember there were a lot of books in your home. Yeah. You know, like those little things, they are very significant, because that leaves an impression. You know, for me, it was my stepdad that really instilled the love of reading. You know, I would wake up in the morning with words like, in the 3rd, 4th grade, accountability. definition on my door. The word of the week, accountability. Man, I don't know. Like, whatever. I'm an athlete. Y'all play football and stuff. I'm like, oh, accountability. I can't even spell that, you know. And I didn't like read. I read comic books. I did read comic books a lot. I was a comic book geek, but I was an athlete.
What's your favorite comic book?
I'm a Marvel head, so one of my favorite characters is I love Silver Surfer.
No shade to DC at all.
No shade.
No shade
it's
from
all
me,
good.
y'all.
Right. Nah, I'm a Silver Surfer head. Black Panther, the Hulk,
of course.
Spidey. You know, I like the Marvel universe.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
The Beyonder and stuff like that. The Secret War series and stuff. So don't get me started.
I think when it came to comics, is my mic on?
Okay.
When it came to comics, I think my brothers mostly had X-Men comics in the home.
I
so
like the X-Men.
Those were everywhere in our house. So, you know, I dig into those as well. I think my brothers still have some of those too. Yeah. So they're pretty vintage. And my mom, she collects black magazines.
Okay.
So she has a lot of vintage stuff as well.
Right.
When it comes to black literature and
right.
So it just it felt natural just to be around you know, literature and books.
That's huge.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, the old adage is they say if you want to hide something from a black person,
you put it in the book.
Put it in a book.
Yeah, so I go looking.
Right. You think about it, for us to be barred from reading lawfully or legally in this country for so many years, that's significant.
Right.
You know,
there was a reason
very much
for
so,
that.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And then for you to come and, you know, understand the literary paradigmatic and why it's important to focus on the word, be it written, spoken, you know, sang. However it's conveyed, the word is powerful, particularly in African cultures and societies. You know, that is one of the most significant resonances that exist, you know, scientifically or artistically. So man, this is awesome. What advice do you have for aspiring writers or bloggers or even people who, you know, maybe just they want to start reading but they don't know where to start reading, like, and then the writers, like, what advice would you give to individuals?
To writers, I would definitely say read. Read what you love. You know, don't just read just to say you finished something. If something isn't interesting to you, just put it down, pick up something else. It's one reason why I kind of wanted to do the book donation too, is because there's a lot of people who have books in their home that they're just not reading them. You know, they have new books that they've been meaning to get around to, or they just haven't yet.
Right.
So sometimes just getting a new book can kind of shake you up a little bit and kind of help you get back into the rotation of it. Okay, so I read this great book, now I want another one. So I can either order one or hey, maybe I'll check out something I have on my bookshelf that I haven't gotten to yet.
Right.
So that's what I'm kind of hoping to instill with donating books as well. For readers, I started doing a couple of polls to try to see, you know, what's holding a lot of people back from reading as much. And of course, it's time is number one.
Right.
Number one. But I think right now is a really good time for us to slow down for one,
right,
but really outline our lives to fit it in.
Right.
So now you have the time and the ability to fit it into your schedule.
Right.
You know what's missing. So now we are able to kind of build it in there. But finding the right thing, I think, is hard. I'm into Afrofuturism, so Black sci-fi, and you know, and there's a lot of writers out there, but it was hard for me to kind of connect and find those people originally.
Right.
But now as the internet has grown exponentially, it's a little bit easier now. But it's also just a lot of information that's out there, so people are kind of having a hard time funneling what they would actually like to read.
Right.
So I think until you find that thing, you need to read a few things, but it's okay to put something down if you're not interested in it.
No doubt. Experiment.
Yeah. And they tell you not to judge a book by its cover, but technically that's what you have to do in order to be interested in it for the most part, or take recommendations from friends.
That's huge.
As well. That helps. Family helps too, but sometimes your friends have a closer understanding of the type of art or literature that you would connect with. And I think that would be helpful too, just reaching out to other people to see. And that was the other thing, like joining book clubs always sounds like a great idea. But my personal struggle has been, okay, I joined this book club, but I don't have the money to buy the book this week or this month. So, you know, if there's a creative way to have, you know, free book clubs or something like that, that would be great. But
even online book clubs, there's a lot of literature online too. Yeah,
absolutely. And I feel like with my blog, I feel like it's a little mini book club. And there's no cost. You can read it every week during the series. So I think that's a dope thing for me.
No doubt. So you mentioned your blog. How can people get in contact with Michelle Hill and the Black Sunflower?
theblacksunflower.com or on Facebook, The Black Sunflower. We're also on Instagram and Twitter as well. The same names.
Use Tumblr?
Sorry. I do not use Tumblr. Should I?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I do. There's a lot of literary sites on there or pages. And it's a big world on Tumblr. Tumblr is a very interesting domain. And I would encourage, because it has a lot of good information on there. Yeah, Tumblr is a very interesting blog.
I have to check that out.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But yeah, definitely check out the blog. Michael's article will be up on Sunday, so definitely want everybody to check that out.
All right.
We had just as much fun at our last interview.
No doubt.
So
I'm
I'm
return the favor.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I really do. It's definitely getting me out of my comfort zone,
Awesome.
and I wanted to be able to get out and talk more about my blog.
No
I'm
doubt.
so excited to share it with people.
Put it on the blog. Share it on the blog.
Yeah. Heck yeah. So thank you so much for having me.
No doubt. Thank you for being on the show. This has been a great conversation with Michelle Hill with the Black Sunflower here on Shifting Paradigms, KUAW. I forgot who I got next week, but we have not next week, the following week we have a couple shows lined up all the way up into December. So I'm excited about our lineup. We have several pretty good topics that we're going to be discussing. We're going to be talking about some natural hair paradigmatics. We're going to be talking about let's see, we have let me take a look at it. There we go. So I got Rodney and Stephanie Smith coming up. They're going to be talking about transformative paradigmatics. They are a consulting couple, and they deal with a lot of racism issues in the city. So we're going to be talking about, you know, transforming minds, things of that nature through the work that they do. We're going to have Sister V on here, and she's going to be talking about natural beauty. That's going to be in November. And then we have the Porterhouse, Kansas City, Sharon Thompson and Daniel Smith is going to be here. So we got a nice little lineup coming up. So make sure you tune in to Shifting Paradigms. Also tune in to KUAW. If you all want to donate, go to the KUAW website and you can, you know, make a donation to keep this community effort going, so that we can continue to give you all these good words and these good individuals.
Nice.
But again, thank you for coming on the show, Miss Sister Hill, and we will keep it moving forward. I look forward to the article coming out.
Yes.
I'm kind of excited about that.
Good. Make sure you share it as well, of course.
No doubt. We'll do. Put it on my blog. But we'll be back in a couple weeks. And this is B. Michael with Shifting Paradigms, signing off. Peace and power, peace and blessings. Shalom, shalom.
Hey everybody, this is Scatter. You might remember me from way back in